So if you guys are interested, definitely reach out.
Please do.
Dallas, I see you got your hand up. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, I got to apologize for coming in late. I was in the other room. I could hear you yelling at me, Logan. I couldn't get to you. And then I struggled, had a little discussion with Zoom trying to get the camera right.
No
And,
worries, man.
glad to meet you, Tom. Where are you located?
Oh yeah, I'm in East Tennessee, just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, okay. Good, beautiful country, man. I'm in Southwest Florida now.
Okay.
Grew up in the oil country, like the Dallas. I'm like the Dallas sitcom family. We were born on top of oil wells. I sent you some oil well info.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I was wondering how much did it cost you to, and how long did it take you to set up the fund, the legal work?
It didn't take too long. They actually kind of expedited it for me because when I decided I wanted to do it, I jumped right in. Total, it was less than 15 grand with all the SEC lawyers and everything else. I set up a management entity and then the actual LLC for the fund itself. So there's two entities that needed to be set up. Part of the reason for doing that is so that you got and it's pretty common, and we set the management entity up such that if I needed to bring in another capital raiser, if I can't close out the deal and I need to bring somebody else in with some capital, we can do that and it doesn't affect the investor docs or anything. So it's a good way to set it up. If if you're raising $1 million and maybe you only can raise 500 grand, you can partner with somebody, or you want to take a stab at it and then you decide to bring somebody in, just set it up so that then you can bring them in later. Doesn't change anything for the investor, and it keeps everything else the same. So that's kind of the way that went down.
Oh, that's a good idea. I mean, I went to Cardone's Wealth Conference back in March, and they were laying out a structure where they had a family partnership, which was taxed at a much lower rate, and the LLCs reported to it, and the family partnership would get paid consulting fees from the LLCs and get the lower tax rate on that money. See, and then the funny thing about the family partnership is anybody can be a family partner, and you can retain control of it with as little as like 2% ownership.
I like it.
We do a similar structure as well. I don't know anything about
it. Huh?
Yeah.
What
yeah, we do a similar structure we have like Tim has Hero, and then he has an LLC under Hero, and then the fund is under that LLC, and Hero is charging the fund due diligence fees. The legal way to go about it, your attorneys, set all of that up so that you can legally be paid, and you're not being paid to raise money, since that's against SEC regulation, which is where people get into hot water as co-GP, like we talked about earlier, where they're not doing their duty, right? So that's why, Tom and us prefer that fund model for sure.
The other thing I've seen is where, let's say there's a $25,000 acquisition fee in the fund. You're raising, 800 grand or something. Well, and I've seen some fund managers, then if you have 3 fund managers raising for that fund, they'll split that according to how much money they raise. I think that's fairly common. Our particular SEC lawyers did not like that. They don't like that at all. So we don't, it wasn't based on, it's not based on how much we raise in that fund. We have a set fee. I guess that it's, we had a set fee rather than a fee that adjusts based on the capital raised. And so you have to figure out, okay, what's my target raise? What's that acquisition fee got to be, or should be, for all your due diligence and everything else? But it's not necessarily tied to the exact capital raise. So there's some nuances there.
Yeah. Well, did you go direct to a SEC lawyer, or did you have an advisor that had one? How did that work?
I did. 3 Pillars. They're right out of, let's see, they're actually on the West Coast. They were in Kansas City. I met with them when we were out there, but they're based out of the West Coast, I believe. Three Pillars, definitely would
Yeah.
recommend them. Just reach out. I can get you their info
Okay.
if
Okay.
you're
Appreciate it.
interested.
Oh,
All right.
I want to
Well, thank
learn
you
more about, yeah, I want to learn a little bit more about the structure you guys were talking about. I still got to figure that out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll send you a link on. Well, I'll post it here. Okay. Okay. Well,
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Thanks,
Logan,
Dallas. Thanks
yeah.
for asking.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Dallas, I tried to get a hold of you too. Is it your cell number that you put in the link or no? I already text you. I'd like to know more about your structure.
Okay. Okay. Great. Is this Hillary?
Yes.
Okay. I'll send it to you.
All right. And one note on that, Tom, as always, listen to your attorney. We've had 3 or 4 or 5 different attorneys say different things about different funds.
I know.
Ours
Yeah.
is usually based on amount raised because we, in the alliance and what we do, we raise as a group to get the best
Right.
economics through 3 or 4 or 5 people. So in
Yep.
that situation, we have it set up because we do work with like Rise 48 and they have a very
Yep.
turnkey
Got
fund
it.
of funds model where attorneys say it's okay. We listen to them. We're not legal
100%,
experts.
100%.
Tim says it all the time. I'm not a legal expert, even though I pretend to be one on TV or whatever it is he says. I can give you the advice that we use, but always listen to the attorney. That's why they went to school. That's why they did all the stuff. So, but that's the structure we use. And I saw Katina asked, is this only for USA? Because my clients are in other countries. Katina, if you can re-ask your question, I don't know. That was about 30 minutes. I don't know what you were asking about specifically, if it was the fund. So if you can raise your hand or put it back in the chat, what you were talking, because that's a little I'm not sure what the question is. And then Jay asked, can you describe what distinguishes a single asset fund from a single asset fund of funds? Do you mean this is also an SPV? Do you want to take that, Tom?
No, go ahead.
So because it is a pretty quick answer. Single asset fund is just basically a syndication at that point. Unless you're doing it for tax reasons, Jay, from what I know about, from what Tim has told me and what we've heard from attorneys, if you're doing a single asset fund for your own deal that you are owning and operating, there's not really a reason, right? Unless you're using multiple people to raise into the fund, you're better off usually doing a syndication. Single asset fund of funds just means I'm raising for someone else. That's all fund of funds is, right? You have a fund. What do you do with it? Do you raise money for your own deal that you are the operator principal on? Regular single asset fund. Do you raise money for other people's deals that they are operating, owning, key principal on as an LP position? That's fund of funds, right? If that answers your question, Jay. And it is if you did a single asset fund, you can use an SPV. I just don't know why you would. Typically, from what I know, you might as well just do a syndication, right? Instead of paying for the fund. Edwin, go ahead.
Hey, Tom and Logan, good stuff. Quick question. So are you a GP on this particular deal? That this is kind of your first fund of funds, but did you say you're a GP on the deal?
No, I'm really just fund of funds for a syndication, right? So no, I'm a GP on other deals. I've
Okay.
got some other deals where I sit as a GP, and that was kind of the model that I was following up until just this year. So I really just have jumped into this fund of funds aspect. But really, I mean, I guess we're all just glorified LPs with the fund. The fund is an LP investor into the syndication.
Okay. And were you in on the initial raise? And then I guess you said somebody fell out with the million, so then they had to get a loan, and so now you're doing yet another raise, or are you just coming in on this $1 million raise?
Yeah, I came into this around like March, April timeframe, and they had a couple of folks that were raising. Well, actually, a couple of guys that had raised prior to close. they hadn't closed their funds yet, so they were able to add some into their existing funds. So there were a couple of fund managers who did raise and are still raising a few dollars here and there. And then I actually initiated my fund not till June 1. So the favor, it's not bad economics with the rate, the loan that they've got. So it's not really impacting the deal too much. The individual who made the loan isn't in some huge hurry to get his money back. So I think they were using it as an opportunity to let a new fund of funds person like myself work at it. And there hadn't been a lot of pressure, but believe me, I'm not sleeping as well at night as I'd like to. I'd like to close this thing out.
How much time do you have?
I mean, we've got to, ideally, we're going to close this thing out by the end of August. I think we're probably on track for that.
So, so a little bit more on the history of your decision to go into fund to funds, because I'm kind of there as well. I've been owner operator on the multifamily side for about 10 years. And yeah, so I've been talking to Logan and Tim about their alliance. Tell me about your decision, and then how quickly did you get to this point where you're at with this first fund of funds deal, from your decision to now, or when you started this fund of funds? How long did that take you?
Let's see. I joined when I joined Tim's capital raising challenge.
Okay.
That was like late February, March, April timeframe. This wasn't even on the radar yet. So it really, it was late April, early May when I connected with Oak IQ out of Kansas City. Prior to that, I started realizing I wanted to look at opportunities. And so probably late April, early May, I identified this group and this deal and went out to Kansas City to meet with them. So really it was, late April to actually had the fund created by June 1. It was pretty much, and I think I traveled out there. It was mid-May when I went out there, so I didn't decide to do it till after I went out there. So mid-May, and that's when I turned the lawyer on Monday, the 19th of May, and we had the fund in place on June 1.
Wow, so very new, man. Impressive. Appreciate your time, Tom, and good stuff. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. I hope I've provided some value. When I look at the past speaker list on this particular call, it's slightly intimidating, but hopefully it's been useful.
I think you have given a ton of value. Tom, I told you guys, Tom was like, well, are you sure? Because I haven't raised all this money. I'm like, Tom, you will be perfect. And this has been very good so far. So
yeah, I'm one of those guys down in the trenches. It's not like this guy, gosh, he's raised 100 million. It's sometimes, like you said, Logan, sometimes it's hard to relate, but we're all working that way.
yeah, definitely. And Katina, did you want to come on and clarify your question from earlier? You want to unmute and ask?
Yes. Hi, how are you? My question was just because I have been in and out of a few of these meetings, and I'm with Robert.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay, well, let me just transition.
Sounds like we're on a Bluetooth, maybe.
Yep, and I was just getting ready to get out of the call. Bear with me 1 second. Let me see if I can Okay. So basically, I work with Robert Shoemaker and Associates, and he's a developer, and we've just gotten another project that he's looking to do a few things with. He's all looking for investors, one, and then the other thing is he's looking for construction funding, and he's also looking for those two things. And I think it's one more thing, and I'm a consultant with him. So I just kind of jumped on to kind of hear some things and see what some other options besides the private lenders and the private investors database that I have. So, is this something that would, I'm not sure. Like, I just wanted to know if this is something, because this is in Canada. That's who I'm a consultant with. The other projects are just a freelance of my network. They asked me, since I was marketing for him, they asked me could I help them as well. So that was why I asked about, is it just for U.S. funding? Is that typically how these funds are set up, just for U.S. investors, or?
So yeah, I think she's asking, is fund of funds a viable model for non-US based investors? I think the answer is yes.
Yes. Thank you for putting it on that way.
Is that about right, Katina? Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, I think that, and I believe my fund is not set up to we did not set my legal docs up to be able to take people from outside the US. But I guess that can be done, but it's Logan, maybe you could speak to that. I'm not too knowledgeable about that.
Yeah, you can. We have people in our group who are in Canada and they raise money from, I know fund managers. The tax rules are a lot different. So that the problem is you have to find, if you're doing deals in the US, you need to have a US based attorney for that side. Whatever country, if you're raising money from Canadians, the laws are going to be different. You know, Canada versus like a European country, maybe it's more similar to the US, but you want to have an attorney in whatever countries you're in on both sides, right?
Right.
But fund of funds as a model, I'm pretty sure all you're doing is taking your money and deploying it somewhere else. So into someone else's project, syndication, JV deal, whatever it is. So the answer, the short answer is yes. Long answer, ask your attorney, as always.
Yes. Okay. And shoemakers do have attorneys, their own attorneys. Okay. All right. Thank you for that information.
All right. Vanessa.
First and foremost, thank you so much for all of the knowledge you shared. It was a lot of value, so thank you so much. I wanted to ask if you could recommend maybe like a writer or a particular book in business overall and real estate specifically. I would really love to hear your recommendations.
My book recommendations. I'm looking at my shelf over here. There's so many. I'm kind of drawing a blank right this second, but of course, right now, what's been pretty useful is Hunter Thompson's Raising Capital for Real Estate. I also then I'm reading one that's called How to Raise Capital Legally for Real Estate, and that's by syndication attorney. Let's see. Yeah, Kim Taylor. She's a SEC attorney. I'm reading that one. Gosh, so many good ones, but those have been the ones I've focused on mostly right now. As far as business, it's more like Who Not How is probably one of the top ones. I don't know that I really practice it. As I said, I'm kind of a solopreneur, but looking to fix that and definitely farm out certain things. But Who Not How is really, really powerful, a powerful book.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Today, Logan.
You want to go into breakout sessions? Dallas, I saw you raise your hand again. If you want to make it quick, we can get you in for one last question.
Yeah, just to comment on the raising money from out of the country. I think a source of money might be these visa programs where they have to put in 800,000 into the country to get a visa, something like that. You get hooked up with a U.S. visa attorney that's processing those guys. That's my thought on that. It's an additional source of funds. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it. I got a contact in Dubai. Says she might send me, send me $1 million a month or something. Anyway, okay. So that's my comment on that. So might look into that.
Okay.
Interesting too.
Awesome. Thanks for the info. Yeah. And a good way is ask ChatGPT to get an idea of who you should talk to. right? Like we always talk, you use ChatGPT for everything. So,
Yeah.
All right. So that will wrap us up for Q&A. Maybe you'll get Tom in your breakout session. Tom, are you able to stay for breakout sessions?
Definitely.
Awesome. So you guys know the drill. We're taking a group picture. So everyone turn on your cameras. Don't be shy. Show me your beautiful, beautiful faces. I want to see your pretty faces. And Tom, I think you know the drill. We flex for the group picture. So everyone flex. Cameras on. Everyone ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. Yay. Awesome.